Live with Modern Alchemy, Christina Nikols, and Joe Jennings. So while they're setting up, I just wanted to say hello to everybody out there. It's been a busy morning. I am getting ready to go live with Modern Alchemy. I'm so excited. And we're going to have a lot of fun, deep dive about all kinds of things, law of attraction, maybe some neuroscience, how to be kind to your mind, and yeah, just a little bit of everything. So if you're watching today, do me a favor and put a comment below where you're watching from. I would love to connect with you. I'm on LinkedIn. My name is spelled MELODIEWOLTER. I love to connect with you on LinkedIn, and please subscribe here. And also, we go live every Saturday at Scott Jones and Melodie at Live Louder. So we're getting ready to do a podcast. I'm so excited.
All right.
Yay!
Do you like the lighting?
Yeah.
You want it brighter?
Sound check was good. All right.
And I am live on YouTube.
I love that. So what we're gonna do is I'll do a quick intro for you, and then we will just kind of jump into it. And then if there's anything that, like, if you need to repeat yourself or you want to cut something, just like you can either just repeat what you're saying or say, "Oh, can we cut that?" And obviously we can do that easily.
Okay, we're going to be authentic. Mistakes and all, perfectly imperfect.
And how do
That's the thing
you
I've been trying to work on.
say your last name?
Wolter.
Wolter?
Yeah.
Melodie Wolter.
Mhm.
All right. Today's guest is a powerhouse at the
Right,
intersection.
can you start one more time?
Okay. That's so good. Let me take this off. Right. Today's guest is a powerhouse at the intersection of business strategy, mental health, and soulful leadership with a mission to end loneliness. In a career rooted in scaling mental health organizations, Melodie's reimagined human resources into human kindness. She's the visionary behind Melodie's Network, a media and broadcast company that connects people with the resources, places, and communities they need to live with purpose. From building business ecosystems grounded in neuroscience and soul, to advocating for cultures where both organizations and individuals can thrive, Melodie brings both heart and strategy to every room she enters.
Oh.
Welcome to the podcast, Melodie.
Oh, it's such a joy to be with you, Joe and Christina. You two are just such a great combo, and the energy, like, I feel like I'm in the room with you right now. I am so connected with this whole space. I feel like we're right there with each other in mind, at least. And I'm just so happy to be here. I'm happy to be alive, and I'm so grateful and honored to be on your podcast. It just brings so much joy to connect with you.
Oh my God, you have the best energy. I'm very excited. We were chit-chatting slightly beforehand, and I said, we have to stop. I don't want to miss anything.
Yeah.
I can already tell that you're going to just fill us with so much joy, so much wisdom. I'm just very excited for today.
It is my mission in life through Melodie's Network and me, myself, as a human being, humankind, to help people unsuffer. That's my word. And my mission is to end loneliness. I will do anything for anybody with kind heart and kind intentions. I never want anybody to ever feel lonely. You know that feeling of lonely? You could be in a room of crowded people and you never felt so alone in life. And I'm sure you felt that way at some point, but you know what? It really got to me in 2020, but I'm still here and I'm back and I'm ready to help everybody unsuffer. And if my little mindset activations or if there's words of wisdom I can give you, some sense of relief that you are a gift, you have a life force energy. It is not a pill. It is not a program. You have it inside yourself. Yes.
I love that. And so you've kind of want to just jump in and
Yes.
this question. I love this statement: turning human resources into human kindness.
Mm.
Let's take that again. So you said you turned human resources into human kindness. Can you unpack that and talk about how that shows up at
So fun. So fun fact. I don't know if you've heard of Nova Southeastern University down here in Florida. So when I went to college there, they did not have a master's degree in human resource management. So I went to the president. I said, hey, listen, dude, I will be more than happy to launch a master's program. I'll even get my own internship. And so I got my internship at the Internal Revenue Service. I did an attrition analysis of the personnel administration. And then right straight out of college, I got a job working in bank administration in the human resources department. I was promoted rapidly in 3 years, and I had a horrific boss. She bullied me. She was ruthless. And I could not figure out why this lady, first of all, interviewed me, hired me, and kept promoting me what was wrong. And it was finally a few years later, my father confessed. My father was a prominent banker down here in South Florida. So he was well connected. He knew I was looking for a job outside of college. And I was having a hard time getting job interviews straight out of college, even though I had my master's degree, And here he made a phone call. And that was the whole thing. She finally let loose on me one day. She let me have it and said, your daddy made a call and I shouldn't have never listened to him. And so I did a bad thing. I took all of my documented experience with her and every name she called me. I made multiple copies. I put them in everybody's inbox. It was a corporate building of 500 people. I left on a Friday afternoon with the guy that I was dating from finance, and we left in this Porsche, and I never came back. So everybody knew how horrible this woman was to me, and I couldn't figure out why. And so she didn't even have a business or HR background. So I was like, okay, human resources, I don't think it's for me, right? But I wouldn't have known. I was young. I was just trying to figure things out. And so I went to work with my parents' business, the Art Collection Inc., which is still around. Thank God my parents are still alive. And fine art, it's been a lot of fun. But I got back into HR again just to test the waters to see if I liked it. And I really hated it still. And somebody called me and asked me to come scale a mental health organization. They heard about my good work in the past, that I was very good at it, and I'm still at it today. This is where I am. But I really believe that since 2020, when the World Health Organization declared the pandemic on my birthday, 3/11, my life flipped sideways. It was very dark, and I really saw everybody in my workspace rapidly disintegrate before my eyes. I was working for a very big mental health company. I was so proud of the work we were doing, Christina and Joe. I mean, we scaled 3 locations within a year. We got the Golden Seal of Health and Human Services. We were serving underserved populations, Medicaid, needy populations. And 3/11, my CEO, I thought was going to wish me a happy birthday. Instead, we walk into an executive leadership meeting and they said, Melodie, we're going on lockdown. I'm like, what the, And from there, I'm telling you, like everything with the company, everybody lost either their job or started losing family members or people started getting sick. So either people were dying directly by COVID, and what you were seeing was a progression of mental health around everywhere globally, right? We were starting to see the whole world unfold before our eyes, kind of in a fog. And so what we are, and I was explaining this to Joe the other night, we're in a collective existential mental health post-traumatic stress disorder crisis right now. It's 5 years out, and we're more detached than ever. So I want to bring back human kindness. Our world needs a rebirth of empathy, my friends. We're crying tears of loneliness. I feel so detached. I love that we're doing this, but I wish I could hug you and hang out on that couch with you and share a cup of tea or coffee with you and really sit there and just really be with you in your space. But the world it's never going to go back to normal. It's not. So I'm here to help people stay alive and thrive, because we should never feel detached like that.
Yeah, I just left the corporate workforce And before leaving, we were studying the loneliness epidemic. It really is a thing
Mhm.
that is happening. And I think it's just
Hi, James.
now starting to get the attention that it
Hi, Lila.
deserves, unfortunately.
Mhm.
We also have this mutual friend, Joe and I, of this woman who started a company and they're focusing on helping people with like massive layoffs in tech. And she says the same thing. We don't realize what we're doing in the environment that we're setting up right now and how we aren't setting people up for success. We're really setting them up for failure in terms of not giving them stability and community and support. And we just, I think people just need to be a little tougher and just keep going. But that's not all that, it's not like part of the formula. It's so much bigger than that. So to hear that you had your own experience and you're showing up for other people, we need more of you. Is what I'm saying.
It was crazy,
I'm
Christina.
gonna pause for 1
Yes,
second.
Joe.
Turn the gain down on my microphone.
Sure. So, hi everybody on live. Hi, thank you for being here, James, Erica, Violet. Oh, you beautiful minds. Thanks for being in the house. I'm with the lovely Joe Jennings and Christina Nikols from Modern Alchemy. They rock. They are based out of Chicago. I'm here in South Florida, and it is so overcast today. So I got my windows wide open here to get some natural sunlight in. And we are back with Joe and Christina talking about the world crying tears of loneliness from the pandemic still.
The thing I
Yeah.
wanted to circle back to is you mentioned you interned at the IRS.
Can you say that again? Because my head doesn't.
So one thing I wanted to touch on, you said you interned at the IRS. Is that accurate?
I interned with the Internal Revenue
Yeah, what was that like?
So it's really boring. It was so boring. It was so boring, but I made it fun, because I love people and I love connecting with people. And I always love figuring out what makes people tick. I always like asking, I want to know right now what each of you wanted to be when you grew up. Did you want to be a podcaster? No. What did you actually want to be when you grew up? And so when I was in the IRS, I was looking around and it's just the clock is ticking so slow and it's super quiet. And everybody's like a robot just doing their job. And I come in, I'm like, hey, everybody, I'm going to do a nutrition analysis. So I'm just going to ask some questions, Then I leave and they just go back, and it's very robotic working for the state and the government. It's just not exciting or sexy.
I was in a cab in DC with Uber.
I'm having a hard time hearing you, Joe.
Can't hear me?
Is your microphone turned
Can you hear me now?
That's better. Yes, thank you.
Okay. So I was in Washington, D.C. with one of my buddies, and we're in an Uber, and he was talking about, he works for the FBI.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, do you work with a lot of agents? And he got super uncomfortable, tried to get me to stop talking about it because they were I don't know. I want
Yeah.
the driver to hear that he's in the secret stuff. But I think a lot of those folks, a lot of that comes from their uncomfortability about talking about because they're worried about potentially exposing secrets or something. I don't know.
Well,
Side note, though.
they do have a different level. So these, the government, these guys. So my second husband, I'm not married to him anymore. When I met him, he was a lieutenant colonel. He was active duty lieutenant colonel in the United States Army. He was the chief of detainee operations for Guantanamo Bay, which is a terrorist camp, if you're not familiar. And he was famous. He was actually in some books and stuff. And he actually orchestrated the live televised trial of Saddam Hussein. And he had pictures in the trial courtroom when they televised it and everything. And so I met him. He was here in South Florida. We met, we got married. He was the only guy introduced to my sons. And my sons just thought he was the bomb because he'd come home in his gear and they thought he was like a G.I. Joe, a walking G.I. Joe, which he was. But he was a cool surfer dude to me. That's the way I saw him. And we got married, and he was really nervous, guys. He was very, very scared about transitioning out of the military. He wanted to be a civilian. And 26 years living around the world, never owning a home, and learning, cultures and places and meeting scary people, learning psychological warfare. I had forgotten, because the guy that I saw before me, honestly, he looked like an 18-year-old college, or just a young surfer guy. He was so sweet and gentle, but he had to be involved in some pretty bad things, and they brainwash you. They train you a certain way when you're in the military and the government. And so I had to remember that, but I would forget. And then he transitioned over into civilian work. I'm very well connected here in Fort Lauderdale and Broward County and Miami. And I found him easily a job. He was worried about his skills not being transferable. I was like, dude, are you kidding me? He was the head security of the airport here in Fort Lauderdale. And during COVID, when everything started getting quiet, and I was like, oh, this is great. We're going to spend time together. I'm going to come home. We're going to ride our bikes up to the gym. We're going to get something to eat together, ride our bikes. But instead of the stress being less stress for him, it flipped a switch in him. So he went from 80,000 passenger souls that he was accountable for in a day down to 4,000. He's used to, that kind of level of intensity. And he walked into work. My son was getting ready to leave for college the next day. He came back home 3 hours later at 7:30. I'm like, hey, sweetheart, what are you doing home so early? He said, I quit.
Wow.
I was like, okay. So then I was like, okay, this is really weird. My son's leaving for college tomorrow. So I'm like, all right. So I got my son off to college, and then I'm like, babe, what's going on? He starts ripping apart the house, like renovating the whole house, starting with my son who just left for college, ripping it apart with the house, renovating it, just decides to rip apart the house. And I slowly watched him deteriorate, and he had a full bipolar, schizophrenic, full manic breakdown in front of me. So I called his sister and brother-in-law, who was the head of the Veterans Administration Center, and the medical doctor, and they did not help me, and they did not help him, because he had so many guns, my friends, and he had accidentally shot a hole through his hand in front of me when he was trying to get ready to go out to the shooting range, because he was so upset about things at work. There was all these red flags. And I was like, one after another. My mother did not like him or care for him. She thought there was something very wrong with him. She saw something in him. And there was something that must have been always deep within him, because towards the end, right before COVID was declared, and he accidentally shot his hand right in front of me, it was so traumatic that he did not even want to go to the hospital. He did not want to report it. He was going to walk around injured and lie about it, which we did. We lied to everybody about what happened. He said he did it with a nail gun, and everybody believed it because he was clumsy in the garage. And so I said to myself, and he didn't care about the fact that he could have potentially not only killed himself, killed me, but killed my son who was sleeping in the next room, because the bullet exited and hit my headrest of my car dashboard, went right through the dashboard, through the windshield, through my dashboard and the headrest. And I was getting ready to go to Publix to pick up some groceries. So I saw that as a sign from God to wake up, like, Melodie, something's up, something's really wrong. And I'm not trying to be dark, or I'm trying to share with you what was a catalyst to my whole, I guess, existential crisis that happened with COVID, because it flipped a switch in him. And a lot of people, it flipped a switch. Some people are not here with us today, and it makes me sad.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, it's like that whole, and I experienced this with a close friend of mine. When you're used to the go, 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 you don't have to sit and reflect and kind of be with your thoughts, and that's scary for a lot of people, especially if you've got a lot of things that are on the dark side. I actually had a friend who transitioned as a roommate of mine out of military life into civilian life, and it was a real struggle. Like, he actually self-medicated, so he started pot, just kind of slow his brain down.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of struggle with just being alone with their thoughts. And actually, this other close friend of mine who's like recovered drug and alcohol addict.
Yeah.
He's like, it's not that like I was addicted to doing drugs or being drunk. It's that I hated so much being alone with my thoughts.
Yes.
That was like the gateway out of that. And so I think what you kind of, and this is a good segue because a lot of people get really lonely with their thoughts.
Yes.
So I know a big part of your mission is to end loneliness. So what does that look like for you?
Oh my goodness, it's doing this right now. You guys have no idea. You made my day. Both of you are just so awesome. I can tell, you attract the right kind of people. The people that want to be around you are the right kind of people with the good intentions. And so I am really big out here in the community in South Florida. And beyond that, I'm involved in charities. I'm boards, anything to do with children and adolescent. I give, a lot of my time to. Melodie's network, though, was something personal for me because my dad is also a veteran, and I have a lot of friends that are veterans. And I had, and I'm friends with, law enforcement. And I've had law enforcement, a young guy who came back from Iraq, and he was my sister's boyfriend, and he couldn't handle, he was a young guy, and he was working for the Broward Sheriff's Office, and it was Christmas Eve, and he just got up in the middle of the office and took his life in front of all of his peers down here in Florida. And I love that kid because, he was such a sweet kid, and I thought he was the nicest guy from my baby sister, and he was just so broken when he came back, and we still don't talk about this. I'm doing this live right now on YouTube, friends, and it's just, it's not even just veterans. First responders see the worst, and then they have to go home, and people don't understand what these people see every day.
It's like years, decades of collateral PTSD.
Constant.
We talk about that.
Constant. Yes.
Police officers see a lot of messed up stuff.
I mean, Christina, can you imagine, you see all this, and then you come home and you try to be nice to your wife, take out the garbage, play with the kids, and you just saw, all this horrific things. And then even though you may go to therapy, right, getting to the root, the self-medication stuff, I've been down these routes myself, and it makes it so much worse. And the only thing that alleviates it, I promise people, if you just do it, you gotta move through the pain. You have to, you gotta accept it. But you don't have to let it sit there too long. You get to tell your mind to heal, to stand down. I decide what I listen to and what I think about myself. You treat yourself like the person that you're madly in love with, the one person that you would do anything for in this whole wide world. You start treating yourself like that, you have solved your problems, friends. You will feel better, you'll attract better, you'll surround yourself around better. You will not want to be in bars. You want to be in places where people push your imagination and make you feel good inside and support your dreams because they're not silly. And no dreams are realized in isolation. And I did that to myself for almost 2 years, my friends. And I was a social butterfly until 2020. But I went dark monk mode, not the cool, sexy Jay Shetty monk mode where he's written books about going monk mode. It was dark, and I decided I did not want to live anymore, but I wasn't going to let my folks outlive me. I couldn't do that to them. So I decided to start being a human again and start caring. I said, I got rid of so many friends, Christina, girlfriends. I had to get rid of them. I found out my best friend of 40 years was also involved with my ex-husband. I found it out in the end. I found out all these things in the end, in the aftermath. I had to divorce him. I gave away my house, literally sold it. He was not there to help me. He cleaned out our accounts. We had started a business 2 months prior. It was like one thing after another. My sons had to come down from college. My nephews had to come home to help me get a U-Haul, to help me move all my stuff. So I gave away a whole collection of 2,300 square foot of fine art, sold my jewelry, gave away pretty much all my clothes. All my furniture went to the kids because they were off to college. And I just had my bed and my couch and my TV, which is still here, and this desk. And that was it. And I just decided to exist and work. And that's no life. And guess what? I had grandkids, and that changed and broke my heart open wide. And I came back to life. They revived me. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Sidebar. way too young and hot to have grandkids. What?
4, 3, and 1. Baby Jack, Olivia, and Emily, if you're watching, I love you. Their daddy's a school teacher of the year.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so sweet.
I raised them. I raised 2 nephews and my 2 sons. My sister and I raised them solo with my parents. 4 boys. And I'm the only psycho that would take them places together alone. I took them everywhere. It was fun. They keep you young, Christina. Kids keep you young.
Yeah.
You don't have to have kids to be around kids. I mean, pardon me?
I said, talk about a story of perseverance.
Yeah.
Sounds like the cards were stacked against you in so many.
But I was stacking them too. I was making myself, you guys, I want to break through to anybody that's watching this. Please, you have a choice how long you suffer. You do. All right? Seriously. You can't fix your past. It's not going to, and it's not going to do anything. And it's elusive. It's not even, you can't see it's where is it? It's like there. And you can just start now, rewrite your future. Your future self is going to be so thankful for you taking one little step today for whatever it is. Mine was starting a podcast. I started by myself. I was like, you know what? There's 8 billion people in this world. Do you think anybody's going to give a care about me? Like, they're not going to. So I just started doing it. I was like, it made me feel better. I was doing self-hypnosis in the process, and it started to work, and I started feeling better, and I started working out even more than I was. I started, attracting more connections, and that's what I want. And I just want to be surrounded by beautiful minds now. That's it.
I love that. I also do the self-hypnosis. I think it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
You are taking a lot of accountability, and I think that sometimes is something that's missing in people's lives too. You can be upset about the past.
Yeah.
You're the only one that really remembers your past.
That's
You're
right.
the only one that has those core memories.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to find a way to disconnect from them,
Mm-hmm.
take acknowledgement, like, yeah, I did make these choices. I did show up this way in life. It doesn't mean that that's how you have to continue to show up. We all pivot at some point. Our lives do change. When you choose to stay in it, though, then it can become part of your personality.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, if it becomes part of your personality, you lose sight of the core of who you are. So
Mm-hmm.
just acknowledging the fact that you even said, okay, I did stack some of these up against myself. That's huge. We all do that. We all make the wrong choices. We all show up incorrectly, but that's okay. Again, pivot, make the change, show up differently for yourself.
I love the way you articulate yourself. You brilliantly articulate yourself. It's so beautiful the way that you say that, because I think of that. I wish people would be just nicer to themselves. We are the worst to ourselves. Why do we do this? Why? I'm ridiculous. I stand in front of the mirror. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand in front of the mirror. I'm like, you rock, Melodie. I love you. You rock, girl.
What's so interesting about that actually is, and I went through this exercise with myself last year, looking at yourself in the mirror and just being like,
ridiculous.
It's so effing uncomfortable. It's like, maybe even as a guy, because it's like, it's, okay to express that level of emotionality is self-love. But yeah, I remember kind of the beginning of this self-love journey where I think the ultimate goal is to fill your cup so it can pour over, right? And then that's what you fill others with. But yeah, I remember being like in the mirror, like wanting to avert my gaze at myself. But it's just something that we're not taught. We're taught to pour into others fully. That's the expression of love. At what expense, So one thing I want to kind of segue into was you talked about combining neuroscience with esoteric, and I think kind of talking about self-love, and there's a lot of benefits to that neurologically as well as in an esoteric frequency sense. So how do you combine those two things?
Pardon me?
How do you combine those two?
Oh, so this goes way back to, so this goes way back to my journey into neuroscience and neurodivergency. My son and my nephew were both diagnosed on the spectrum. And my son, he was my second, my youngest, and he was just not easy to soothe. And think about this. So if you don't know much about autism and neurodivergency. So you can be all over the spectrum. Some are nonverbal, some are very articulate, you know, and the facial affect, they take things usually very literally. You know, it's difficult to joke around, things of that nature. And then they're super sensitive to sensation, touch, sound, light. So think about being a baby. Turn down the lights, turn off the noise, you know, that blanket is itchy, and you can't soothe yourself. So my son was never friggin' happy, but he wasn't able, well, because of this, it was too much.
And I was
And
wondering that. Actually, I had this weird independent thought.
yeah,
So I'm like, I wonder if
his colic,
if that is connected to neurodivergence.
It could be.
Noise, sound.
It could be. It could be. I don't know. And they still don't know a lot about it. So I had to learn myself. So my son got diagnosed at 2 by 3 different places. So, and my ex-husband, unfortunately, was not on board. He had a very small-minded mentality. His kid doesn't have mental health issues, your side of the family. So we divorced shortly after that. And besides which, he was not a pleasant guy, and he was very violent. So I said, you know what? I'm going to learn everything I can and be the biggest advocate for my son and help him. It wasn't to help us deal with him because he was so challenging. It was to help himself unsuffer, because he would throw himself on the floor and bang his head into the concrete. Can you imagine being that much torment at 2 to bang your head? Now, so he's a genius, really genius level, and it's unbelievable because all 4 of them are super smart. And I know I'm biased, but I'm talking, he's different. And I had a study to keep up with him. So right now, as we speak, he's only 23. And he just got accepted. Actually, he's being paid a salary to go to the University of North Carolina to get his degree, PhD in optical engineering. They're paying him. And there's like maybe 20 people in this program, maybe less, maybe 10, you know. He's beyond Elon Musk or anybody that you would think of in our day and age. And I raised a genius. And when I tell you, it was crazy, because there are things now when I'm looking back that they say about kids that are on the spectrum, that they have maybe a little bit of psychic abilities or have a sixth sense that we don't. And there are things that I think about now when I was listening to him when he was younger that now makes sense. So I created these little hypnotherapies for my sons, because I sometimes work late. I'd have to leave them with a sitter, but they would have me doing a guided visualization. I didn't know what I was doing other than trying to give them calm voice before they sleep, because I wasn't able to tuck them in. You know what I'm saying? And so sometimes I'd even have them record their own so that they could hear their own little voice back. And I wish I still had those. I was telling my oldest son yesterday, it was his birthday, he's 25. And I said, Maxwell, do you remember you used to make those little hypnosis and I used to record them on the little recorder? He said, yeah, Mom, I do. I said, I'm doing those on YouTube now. He's like, really? I was like, yeah. He didn't even know. So he and his girlfriend had no idea about my channel or about my podcast. He's got his whole life or whatever. But yeah, it started 25 years ago. I was doing this for a long time, not knowing, other than it was making me feel better. It was helping my sons feel better. And it gave them a sense that I was around when I wasn't.
I love that.
You're so interesting.
Oh, thank you. So are you. Both of you. Besides beautiful.
And you're so candid. That is really refreshing. I don't often see that in people. The era of social media.
Yeah.
We present perfect and everything's curated, and it's so fake. I can't handle it. So to meet someone like you that is just being so vulnerable, so honest, it's extremely refreshing. And I could just feel it bubbling up in my soul and just getting so much happier and happier, even though some of this isn't the most positive stories about your life.
Yeah.
It's just so nice to hear. I mean, there is this thing like misery loves company.
Yeah.
Especially with this loneliness epidemic.
Yes.
When you can connect to someone else that's also been through something hard, and you see how they've overcome, and they show up differently and they show up well for themselves, it's so inspiring.
Christina, Joe, tell me the truth. When I say mental health, How does it sound to you? Seriously, when I start, it's kind of like, just doesn't feel empowering. It doesn't feel sexy. Then you're like, oh, I really don't want to talk about this. I love talking about mindset though. And as soon as people start asking me when I go to the gym, they're like, oh, I caught your podcast. How do you do this? Like, how are you doing this? And I'm like, oh God, I said, my mindset, I had to work on my mindset. I didn't say, I went to a therapist. I started self-hypnosis. I cried a lot. I worked out a lot. No, I just said, I had to work on my mindset because everything does manifest in the mind, people. I mean, it just does. It's there. It's in that beautiful space. And I love going back to you, Christina. You were talking about accountability. Doesn't it feel empowering to know that you have control of your friggin' life? You have the power, and you decide you want to buy this orchid, you go out and buy the orchid, It's just like anything else. I want to start a podcast. I started a podcast. 24 hours later, I was recording with my co-host, Scott Jones. Did not know the man. He knows this story. I journaled. I want to meet a seasoned professional that lives nearby me, my age, that can show me how to do the podcasting and train me and be my mentor. And in 24 hours later, we're recording our first show, and we go live every Saturday on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, Live Louder Podcasts. And we have the great time, and it's like we've known each other forever, and everybody thinks we have. He's like my brother. He's like my best friend. And I feel so safe with him, and we just have the best time. Talk about music, art, concerts we've been to, things we've done, work we've done. We both work in the same space. He has, multiple businesses. He runs around all over the, United States. He was just up in New Jersey with a situation from the Jersey Shore. He did all the training. That situation.
Sorrentino.
Yeah.
Catchphrase.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was just up there. He has multiple channels. He has Dog the Bounty Hunter on. He has multiple, Miami Dolphin players down here who are now business owners. He is so talented. He does not give himself enough credit, and I adore him. And my parents are his biggest fans besides his own mother. They watch our show every Saturday.
Sounds like you're a master manifestor also.
Yeah, you know what? But I write it and I do it. You know what I mean? Like, it did. I just got in my car. I had an event to go to. I honestly was not going to go. I was on the phone with my girlfriend. I said, I really don't want to go to this event. I'm not really crazy about the venue. She goes, Melody, just go. You need to get out of the apartment. Go. I went, met his business partner. She said, you got to meet my business partner. He has his own podcast studio. You two would get along great. And that's it. We met the next day and that was it. We were recording. I couldn't believe it.
That's bananas.
He's like, are you sure you've never done this before? I was like, never. I had my own little, I came in with my own little script, of questions I was going to ask him. But he had the whole thing. He already created our website together. He already started planning our swag. He did our whole intro, did all our thumbnails. As soon as I walked in, he's like, okay, let's record. We recorded the whole hour. Great session. He looks over to me. He goes, oh my God, Melody, I didn't hit record. And I look over to him and I go, we're just getting warmed up. Let's go. And we re-recorded again. It was even better. We had the best time and we've been doing it ever since. And now I'm on a whole bunch of other podcasts as a result. And it's a lot of fun because I want to spread the word. I want people to feel happy or feel at peace at whatever they're doing in life and give them a sense of purpose and hope. I mean, it's people like us that have to show people that things like this are attainable and that they can too join in on these conversations if they're feeling lonely.
So there's actually Mike, the situation quote that I love. Who knew that I would drop this knowledge bomb? You got to turn your L's into lessons. The only quote of his that I'm familiar with.
You got to turn your L's into lessons?
It's kind of funny, but also true. And one thing I wanted to ask you is, in the space of mental wellness, what are some of the most overlooked ways that people neglect their mental wellness? How can they turn some of those L's into lessons?
Gosh. Well, Christina, what do you think? I mean, there's so many ways that we neglect ourselves. It all starts with us. Words cannot hurt you. A person, I talk to the grandkids about this a lot too, because I know that they're going to hear stuff from other kids. And I'm like, those words, you can't feel them. You can't pick them up. They can't hurt you. They can't do anything. They can't physically touch you or hurt you. And I said, so when people are being mean or nasty, you just got to let it go, kind of roll through you like water, just like kind of let it flow through you, because you have to understand, for somebody to behave that way is feeling so ugly and disgusted inside. And whatever they're doing to you is what they're feeling inside themselves. If you can be real about that, if you can really look at that person, because I have been around some really horrible coworkers and bosses. And it was very difficult, especially being a female and, trying to stand up for myself, and having female bosses, which are very tough, Joe. If you have never had one, I'm sorry. I know we can be really catty. That's the thing. We kind of up level, double down on our nastiness. And I'm not down for that. I'm so glad that, I get to do what I do and I'm autonomous, and I get to, make an impact with the company I'm with by helping people find mental health services. But above and beyond that, it all starts with our internal dialogue and how we treat ourselves. Again, it goes back to treat yourself as if you are the person. Fall in love with. How do you feel with the person that you fall in love with? I mean, you just want to be around them 24/7. You can't wait for their text messages. You want to try their favorite foods. You want to take them to their favorite places. You want to listen to their favorite music. You want to be every essence of their soul, mind, being. You'll try new things for them. Do that for yourself. Fall in love with yourself and you'll feel better. You'll attract better. I think both of you already radiate that. It's time for other people to start making themselves feel better.
Yeah, and if you don't, I always say, if you don't love yourself, how do you expect other people to show up for you the way you want them to show up for you? Because it's very apparent when someone doesn't respect themselves, then I find it audacious when they are mad that someone else isn't respecting them also. It's very ironic, but I think that also comes down to awareness.
It's not attractive.
Yeah.
I wasn't attracted to me. Like, I was looking at myself going, I'm so lonely. I'm so lonely. I'm looking at my vision board of 2024. Nothing came to fruition. You know why? Everything I put on my vision board, I'd already achieved. I had the house. I had the travel. I had the husband. I had I was like, oh my God, what am I doing with this? And I was like, threw it away. And I said, I'm going to do one better than that. I'm doubling down. I'm up leveling it. I am real time manifesting it and capturing it live on YouTube. And every time I'm going to a meeting, an opportunity, a project, a podcast, I am creating these opportunities, people, because they are going to create other opportunities. I'm going to attract better opportunities, better life experiences, better people. And this is the only way to do it, is by speaking up for yourself and getting out there. And you got to work on this. Even when you don't feel good, I put on extra makeup so I don't cry it off. And I cry pretty often, but not as much as I used to. I just miss my kids. I miss my kids being little. That's all.
How much does action play a role in manifestation? A lot of people.
100%.
When I read two books that were kind of pivotal in my manifestation.
Tell me.
Jersey Shore, I really got stuck into my brain. It was Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like before Law of Attraction existed, kind of had a similar mental wavelength.
Yeah.
And then The Secret. But I just wanted to live in a space where if I just think about it, it'll come true.
No, it doesn't.
But from your perspective, how much does action play a role in the manifestation process?
Joe, Christina, it's everything. So, and people think it's got to be this big thing. Like, I don't have my checklist yet. I don't have my certification yet. You name it, fill in the blank. And you're creating your own roadblocks. That's called resistance. Friggin' well you're doing it, and you keep doing it. I do it. I'm so guilty of this. And it doesn't have to be huge steps. I'm telling you, it's just like going for a walk. It's my nature's way of brainstorming, is going for a walk, going for a bike ride. Okay. I actually love to get up, and I actually love the morning, and I actually love my quiet time, and I get to choose how I spend my time. Some people don't. They live with somebody else, and they got kids, they got a spouse. But I get to choose peacefulness in my life. But you got to start by putting your shoes on, getting your workout gear, walking gear on, and you got to make steps to get outside. Once you're outside, if there's sunlight, definitely the D3, you got to get 10 minutes of it, not just pill, 10 minutes of sunlight, at least minimum a day. And you got to just get some action. And that doesn't mean cardio and hitting the weights 7 days a week. It just means the movement, because you're going to start, while you're like walking and you're exercising, you're going to start feeling better. The dopamine, the natural, all of that is going to kind of like come inside you. And what the best side effects are is your body, your business, your relationships, your everything, every realm in your life just changes and up levels. And you can, if you're really depressed, you just try to feel a little level better. Just try. Think about something that really makes you happy inside. Just close your eyes and just try to think of the last time that you had that laugh, that belly laugh, and just revisit that moment and just have a little level better feeling in your life. And you will slowly feel better, but consistency is everything. Turn off the news, get off the short form media, all of it. I do not have TikTok. I do not have Instagram for myself. And I'm LinkedIn and YouTube. I'm all about real, authentic connection. Imperfect, perfect. I mean, it's all good for me because that's what we are, humankind,
Yeah, I like the idea of saying micro. Just start small. It doesn't have to be complete changing. I never drank water. I never worked out. I never did all these things. And now tomorrow I'm going to do all of them. That's very overwhelming for people.
Why do people do that?
Just small.
Yeah.
Put your shoes on, go outside. That's pretty simple. Maybe go touch the ground. If you haven't touched the earth in a while, do something super small, and then after you do a while, anything can happen next day. It's the perfect muscle.
Christina, you're so in tune with everything. What did you want to be when you grew up? What did you want to do?
I wanted to be a race car driver.
Did you really? That's so cool. You want to be Danica?
Yeah, I still want to be a race car driver. Don't get me wrong. If someone put me out there, I'm very confident. But yeah, I wanted to be a race car driver.
Never too late. What about you, Joe?
Honestly, when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a house pet. Like, I like that they just got to chill all day. Like, my whole goal for getting wildly wealthy is so I can do nothing.
You have big dreams.
Then I wanted to be a lawyer. And then I wanted to be a rock star. And then I wanted to be in the mafia. That was like...
Wait. Let's back up to the rock star. Did you ever play any instruments or sing?
Yeah, I was in a band from like through middle school and like all through high school. I was in bands and stuff. Yeah.
What genre? You said rock?
Yeah, like rock, alternative.
Nice. Well, I've been to hundreds of concerts, but the most coolest concert I have ever been to was with my two sons and my ex-husband. It was at the Cruzan Amphitheater. It was 2016. It was AFI, 30 Seconds to Mars, and Linkin Park. AFI was awesome. 30 Seconds to Mars, we were in the third row, and all four of us got pulled up on stage by Jared Leto. And I got to experience being on stage for the first time in my whole entire life of going to concerts with my son, videotaped the whole thing from the stage, right in front of Jared Leto and his brother, being on stage right next to his brother, and in front of 60,000 people. And I got to record that moment in history. And I was on top of the world. It was the best. It's the memories in life that I always told my son. I said, Mom is a single mom. I'm not going to get you the latest iPhone. Their dad was good about buying all those things. But I was there, I was present, and I said, and I will give you memories. So I took them places. We went to Universal, we went to Europe. I take them out of elementary school on days that I was off and take them to just anywhere, indoor skateboard park. I mean, I have broken bones to prove it. I mean, I just took them anywhere I could possibly take just the two of them alone, unconventionally, to give them the experiences that they will never forget. And I was sending all these pictures to my son yesterday on his birthday. Such a blessing. 12:36 p.m. He was born, 7 pounds, 8 ounces, Maxwell, Devon. And I'm just so proud of the young men that I raised, and they're all doing so well. And that's all a mom can ask for,
And they're smart.
Yeah, that helps. It does help in life.
think it just says a lot about you, the way that you talk about your children, the way that you show up for your family. It, connection, right? This is all about connection. And it does sometimes start with family. And those that don't have family, that starts with the people that you choose to make family in your life. It's very important.
Yeah, so I've been trying really hard lately so I've been planning like big events. The last one was called the Mind, Body, Soul Summit. It was supposed to be at the end of May, and I planned it with the local Coral Springs mayor. Do you remember the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas shooting in Parkland? On the mass shooting at the school at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. It was at Parkland in Florida, and 2018. That was like literally in my backyard. So the mayor of Coral Springs and Parkland. So I coordinate the Mind, Body, Soul Summit, and it's an event that is bringing awareness to mental health and suicide prevention, because after the shootings, there was a couple of students who died by suicide. And also the mayor of Coral Springs lost his mother by suicide when he was going to Harvard Law School. And so I work really intensely in the community. And I know it sounds really dark, but you know what? Every dark, there's light. There's always contrast. So whenever, people do talk about things that are dark, I'm always there to try to be the contrast, to show them I'm living proof that there is light and that you will feel better and that there is hope out there. And I think the work that the two of you are doing together and getting the word out there just so beautifully, I really appreciate it. And I can't thank you enough for all that you do to help people feel better and attract better. And Joe, I love every friggin' manifestation. I love all of those ones that you were doing. Those are really cool how you explain everything, because I think people just really don't understand that they have this inside of them already. They just don't get it. And and you try to explain because it's so esoteric, but it's already in you. The life force energy is inside of you already, never left you. It's always been there. And we got to help people find it again.
Oh, sorry. What were you saying?
We got to help people find it again. So I think that you're doing great work by helping people find it. And maybe my message, people will be able to find it too.
Yeah, a lot of it is that quote, and I'm going to butcher it here. It's, we don't need to learn anything new. We just need to be reminded.
Yes, I agree.
So I wanted to segue into this. This is perfect. You talk a lot about mindset, manifestation, tools that shape your life and business. So how do you teach others to apply them in their own lives?
So I just say try to detox from as much of the social media as you can, the short form especially, and just try to eliminate one thing that you know is not good for you a day. Just try to start eliminating. You know what's not good for you. You know who's not good for you. You know the places that are not good for you. You know what triggers you. You know who triggers you. Just try to make small adjustments, little things at a time, right? Christina, we were saying that before, minute, and stack them. And you will start to see that things will shift in your life. And I really wish that we could actually, take this time lapse of our minds and take a real time lapse, like a movie, to show people like how much progress they made from where they were, because we forget. And you know what? I always know when my life is going really, things start going crazy again, it's because I got out of my mindset activations every time. You know why? Do you know why it happens? Because everything in my life seems to be going great. So I forget to start doing my activations because life is so good. And then a week later, I'm like, and I'm like, what's wrong? What did I do different? And, last month it was like that. I had multiple family members in the hospital, 3 weeks, no meditation. I was lucky to get 4 hours of sleep a night. And my whole body was a complete earthquake inside. And, and then as soon as I saw everybody was progressing and feeling better, yes, Christina, my co-host had a heart attack and had to have a stent put in. My dad fell and broke his femur. My nephew, who I raised like a son, fell and broke his face, jaw, and back, all within 8 hours, all in the same hospital. And yeah, that was last month. And then I didn't put the oxygen mask on, went to the doctor. I left with a stack of referrals like this. And now I'm having to deal with that. So I'm on intermittent FMLA with work right now. And it's fine. I'm going to get it all taken care of. It's just like you forget when you're in a good space and then all these events happen because shit's going to happen. It's life. But multiple events stacked like that, it was too much for me. And then on top of that with me, and then I was like, okay, I gotta step back. I gotta take care of me now. And I really started ramping up my health, like even more so. I've always exercised, but now I'm like really just, man, I'm hitting it so hard. I'm so proud of myself. I'm pushing 60. I've got guns. I mean, I'm like proud of myself. And I'm working on doing pull-ups. So I'm gonna get back there. I used to be able to do them. Be like Linda Hamilton and Terminator.
People get to put their own oxygen, say that again.
Oxygen
I think
mask.
people forget to put their oxygen mask on before they put others.
Yes. So my friend wrote the book, Dr. James Heisman. He's actually a local celebrity here. I happened to meet him, and he wrote the book, Put Your Oxygen Mask On First. And you two should connect with him. He's wonderful. He started the foundation, the STAR Network. It's survivors of toxic, abusive relationships. And then they have and it's all free. They have virtual, they have women, they have men, they have LGBTQ. And this was born from his own, he's a doctor. He has his psych degree, and he went through his own survived his own trauma from his last relationship. And I had the good fortune of meeting this brilliant man. I was seated next to him at an event at the South Florida Behavioral Health Care Conference. And he told me, you got to put your oxygen mask on first. And I couldn't believe I got seated next to him. I didn't know I was seated at his sponsor table. I was just looking for a seat, and I went front and row center down to the middle of the ball. I only saw one chair. And I manifested an angel. He let me sit down. I was sitting at like a $10,000 table.
I was just going to say, I feel like you manifested that too.
Well, I said to him, I was like scrambling because the keynote speaker was getting ready to come on, Patrick Kennedy from the Kennedy clan. He's getting ready to come on the stage right there. And there was hundreds of people there, like 1,000. And I'm looking for, getting close to the stage. I see the one chair, and I go over to James, and I said, excuse me, is this seat taken? He said, well, it is by you. And I said, well, I manifested an angel, and I got seated next to one. And then we just started talking. And then I was like, what are you doing? So why are you here? And he's like, he points to the stage as the keynote speaker is getting on. And then he points to his sponsorship table card that says the STAR Network. He's like, you're sitting at our table, and that's our keynote speaker. That's my friend. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. He's like, no, sit down, stay here. So now we're friends, and I promote his work every chance I get because I wasn't going to go to my doctor's appointment because I was so busy with all the stuff, that trauma that was going on with my family. I couldn't keep my head straight. And I finally said, Melodie, get your ass to the doctor. And I did, and I'm so glad I did. And now I'm taking care of a whole ton of stuff. Everything will be fine. But you got to take care of yourself, because how can you help anybody else if you're not around, right?
Yeah, and it's a great example too that even those that are extremely aware also backslide, because we are imperfect and we are human.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we just forget and life takes over. And it doesn't mean that you need to become a puddle on the floor. You just need to say, oh, got off track, got to get back on track now. And
I have a question for you too, Christina. So how did you two meet? How did you and Joe meet?
So I do energy healings, and Joe is a client of mine. And I decided almost a year ago that I was going to quit my corporate job, and Joe proposed doing a podcast together. And then at the beginning of the year, we both left the corporate world, and here we are.
Oh, I'm giving you guys major kudos. That's awesome. I want to do the same thing. So badly. I'm right behind the two of you. So anything I can do to help support and promote you, I will. I'm going to be talking about you. We're still on live. We've got a few people watching, got a few people commenting.
Support you too. You just say the word.
Oh, thank you. So other than that, was there any other questions that you had?
Yeah. Just looking at my notes here.
Thank you guys for watching. I'm still on Modern Alchemy with the lovely Jennings and Christina Nikols, and we're having such a fun discussion, you know, talking about all the things I love.
Are you doing events still?
I am. So,
Can you tell us about any upcoming events you have?
oh my gosh, there's so many. So, I will have to put them down in the comments because I don't have them committed to memory and I do not have them in front of me. The Mind, Body, Soul Summit is going to be rescheduled. We were supposed to have it at the end of May, but we had to reschedule it. We probably will be looking to do it in either September, November. Not ideal, but I want to do it as soon as possible. And the reason why we're not doing it in October, I'd like to do it in October, but down here we're having what's called it's a very big event. It's the Broward Mental Health Summit, and that is at Dodge City, and that is October 23rd in Miramar, Florida. That's a huge event. So we don't like to be competing with other events, so we try to keep them on separate months because they're such big venues that we have them hosted at. But the one that I just mentioned on October 23rd, that's a great event. I've been going to that one since they started in 2000, I think 17, 18, and it's local to here. But I do so many events, Christina, it would make your head spin. There's small venues right now. It's summertime. A lot of people are traveling. But I create, I also just go out and I will just pop into a lot of the people that we have relationships with, community partnerships with in the mental health care space. I spearhead and help do all of the outreach and the relationships between our company and other providers that are out there. And it's great because when I'm out there, I'm promoting their work. They help us. We help each other. We do a lot of the social media together. And South Florida really is the destination for people to come, not just for tourism reasons, but for getting treatment, whether it be mental health, substance use, could be anything, just a place for sanctuary. And, I see very high-end facilities and I've seen not so. I bet all of them because whenever somebody calls me, they know that I've been to meet people. I have a name, a number, I have a relationship with that person, and I'm able to tell them, or at least advise them on whether or not, to go to that place versus another one. So that's how I roll. I'm physically always moving, and whether I'm on a podcast doing this or catching up on my social media, which honestly takes longer than my soul would like. It really sucks my soul. And now somebody talked me into doing shorts, and I've been doing shorts, but it has been getting me views, and I just can't stand it. I hate it. I just don't want to do it anymore. But
if somebody wanted to work with you, how does that work?
So if somebody wants to work with me, just email me, Melodie at Melodies Network, MELODIE, and then MELODIES network.com. That's the best way. And then connect with me on LinkedIn. I love connecting with people, especially on LinkedIn. I really feel that I've made so many great contacts on there. So many. In person, I've really built the community here. And it's cool because a lot of these business people, they may be coming in from out of town for different venues and stuff. And we're able to actually physically meet when we've met like this, And so it's kind of really cool when we do get to meet in person. So hopefully sometime we'll be able to meet either in your neck of the woods or down here. But yeah, I'm out and about a lot.
We love that. So yeah, and we'll leave because I'm going to ask a question that's related to what we were talking about before, and I just remembered it. So you're talking about how a lot of times when things are going well, we forget the habits that helped us get on the path
yes.
to create this positive reality. And I have this belief that the natural frequency of living in the reality that you want is actually similar to taking it for granted. It's essentially the frequency of taking things for granted is the frequency of having. And so how can people avoid that and maybe get into a space of gratitude from your perspective?
Gosh, especially when you're having so much stuff going on, right? Like there's things that are really, it's so hard to find it. Even me, like, you know, recently, like I had some stuff happen and I was just like, oh my gosh. But, you know, I just don't fail myself. I am so good about being consistent, you guys. I'm just so happy when I wake up in the morning. The first thing I do, I say, thank you, God, I'm alive. That is the first thing I say, and I say it out loud. I don't have to worry about waking anybody up. Thank God I'm alive. And then I go down the line about my parents, my kids, the everybody. I even talk about this today, our podcast. You guys, you know, I'm always manifesting. It's going to go beautifully. There won't be any tech problems. We'll have very easy conversation and flow. Everybody feels good. We're going to help inspire a lot of people, you know, and then we're going to be able to do even more impactful work around the world. And we're going to grow to 100,000 followers overnight. And it's going to go global and everybody's going to be talking about us. And then we're going to be going on Mel Robbins. And then, you know, it's going to be like all this. And this is what I really do. I'm not kidding you. Like, you probably can't read this because it's backwards, but like, I really want to meet this gentleman. I've got such a mind crush on him. His name is Robert Edward Grant. Christina, if you know him or if you can find out who does, I want to have him on my show. I want to meet him. I even messaged the guy through LinkedIn 3 times and I sent him a calendar invite right before the show started for 11 o'clock our time. You can schedule like a video meeting through LinkedIn. And I sat there hoping he was going to wait, and I gave him 5 more minutes. He never came. The guy's famous. You got to look him up. He's a polymath. He is an archaeologist. He's a healer. He's always in Egypt, Turkey. He's like doing all this cool stuff with manifestation. And I've never seen anybody like him. Speaks 8 languages, and he's so into this energy work. Christina, you're going to have a crush on him too. I promise you.
He's got like this cool, like mid-length hair, kind of, but it's like professional looking.
Mm-hmm.
He's a handsome guy.
He's my age. He's my age. And I wrote to him. I know he's married and has daughters. I said, you know, listen, I'm your biggest fan besides your wife and kids. It's just simple. It's innocent. I just want to sit with him. I'll just ask him one question and listen to him. That's it. And let him talk. Because once you listen to some of his conversation, you will be like, oh my God, I am awake now. He is using AI to write so many books. It would blow your mind. He talks about the soul drop-in he spent 29 days inside one of the Egyptian pyramids. He talks about consciousness, almost losing consciousness within there. What happened to him? He talks about the soul drop-in and oh my God, all this stuff. That's all esoteric, but he explains it. And it's like, he's lived this whole life before, and now he's just traveling and doing these events, and everybody goes with him because he's such an expert. He's lived in these places and experienced things, and he's documenting everything in real time. It's cool. I want to go to Egypt so bad with him. He's got like 80 people. He maxes out the trip, and then he does and he goes to places, pyramids that you cannot normally go to. That's why it's so interesting. And they have found so many things underneath the pyramids recently within the past year. And he is part of that. He's part of that. It's amazing. Amazing. I just love talking. We're living in a great time. I mean, I love it. AI, bring it on, LLM, you know, UAPs, UFOs. I'm all down for it. It's like always been here. It's always been here. It's just people haven't been able to, I think people are afraid. They don't want to see things for what they are, but you can't deny the UFO congressional hearings that they're having now. I mean, they're having congressional hearings. They're having multiple pilots, military officials, guys that are retired. Like, look, I got video footage. It's documented, and they think they're coming out from the oceans, where we can't go, so deep in the ocean, and also in the bowels of Alaska, where we can't go. Makes sense. Makes sense, right? I mean, where else? But we're seeing it everywhere now.
In the 1960s,
Mm-hmm.
allowed to pass the Antarctic wall. That's because there's a hole to inner Earth.
Mm-hmm. But like I'm so into this, so I'm really watching this. So I follow him, Robert Edward Grant, and then this other guy who actually lives locally to me. He's really famous. Billy Carson and his wife Elizabeth Carson. They have forbidden knowledge forbidden knowledge, and you'll see the two of them doing work also, like Robert Edward Grant with consciousness, with Egypt, Turkey, all the findings there. It's, oh my God, all this stuff predates everything that we know with religion, the Bible, all this stuff. It's like crazy because they're trying to be quiet because it'll really freak out a lot of religious factions. You know, we're rewriting history with everything that we're finding. We have multiple civilizations that were buried on top of each other. And now we're finally getting down to some layers. And we had power source energies. Those Egyptian, what they're saying is all powered by water. They came up with a power source energy somehow.
Yeah, water and frequency.
Frequency. This is what he refers to it. Harmonic resonance. It's so beautiful. So the universe, the language of the universe is math and music, sacred geometry. Astrology is the oldest science in the world that we know of. And now everybody's starting to listen because the stars and planets have been dictating our lives since as long as they've been around. And people had ways to document this stuff when they didn't have technology like we had today. They were onto something. People, how did they communicate this way? People had this conscious way of communicating around the world. You find structures that are very similar in orientation, similar hieroglyphics and wording, petroglyphs, things of that nature. How did they do it?
The way where the pyramids are placed.
Yes.
If you're looking astrologically, because our Earth has shifted, the axis has shifted over time, it matches up perfectly with the stars.
Mm-hmm.
The precision
Mm-hmm.
is just unparamount. It's nothing that we could recreate necessarily.
So let's go. Let's the three of us go.
Next time you come back, let's start with this and get really weird. Let's do a part 2 and get really weird.
I will. This is the zest of life for me, Christina. I could talk all day, and if we can get the attention of Robert Edward Grant and get him into this conversation, and we can join him for a road trip, it would be my dream. I mean, I am such a fan of him. Huh?
I said, Bobby, if you're out there, we're looking for you.
I promise it's an innocent crush, Rob.
That was amazing. I actually have an aggressive fascination with Egypt, but as we were talking about it, I was like, that's like a whole nother.
It's so cool, Rob. And I'm half Turkish, and I've been to Turkey, and now they're finding all those rooms, Derinkuyu and Göbekli Tepe, that predate the Bible, and it was buried deliberately. The reason why they think it was buried deliberately and why they stopped excavating it is because they're afraid to rattle all the theology, the religions around there, because it's going to show us what we should have known all along, that we've been here for a very, very long time, longer than we even know.
Say the ego of people in that space. So
Mm-hmm.
your archaeologists, I think that they're having a hard time saying, no, we've already set this in stone. This is the way things are. And now all that's being challenged. And when people's belief systems become challenged,
Mm-hmm.
it sometimes provides an existential crisis.
Yes.
And they don't know what to do with it. And so instead of saying, okay, maybe we were wrong, my bad, they're like, nope, we're going to resist this completely. Everybody's wrong.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah, the old guard ideology is protecting knowledge that we once believed to be true. Like that Göbekli
yes, Göbekli Tepe. Yes.
Tepe.
Yes.
If they kept excavating that, they'd essentially have to admit that our knowledge of ancient civilization's ability to build structures, we like actually have no idea.
Uh-huh.
I believe there are pieces of that thing that were so heavy,
Yes.
no way that an actual human being could move it. And so they were like, what did they have, like mind powers to move stuff? Like, did they develop in a way that it's so brain boggling?
But what's crazy about that though, Joe, is they buried a friggin' city. How did they bury?
It's a small one.
Oh my God. And why? Why would they bury the city? Did the next civilization go, oh no, we can't let this get out, and say, okay, we're going to pat this all up, and now we're going to, start our religion or whatever, Who knows why it happened? But this is a huge, you got to, I binge watch. They'd know this, Forbidden Knowledge and Robert Edward Grant every day, all day. Whenever I'm not podcasting, I'm working. I'm in my car, I'm listening to one of them because they're doing the real-time work, cutting edge work in the pyramids and the ruins, places that we can't go, places that, you know, even like these big production companies can't even get into. I love it. And they're doing it and they're bringing people with them. And I'm like, I want to be a part of it. Can you imagine that, Christina? Wouldn't that be so cool to be around that? I would have a complete existential crisis. That would be my third existential crisis, probably. I've had two, 2007 to 2020, but they weren't good ones. This one would be a good existential crisis.
Yeah, the kind we all need.
I think that would be great. So let's just put it out there. Let's just manifest. And we're just going to, you know, make this happen. It's already in the books. It's documented live here. It's documented on here for history, forever and ever, out in the universe. And we're going to make it happen.
I love it.
All right. We're not going to let you stay home, Joe. You cannot stay home.
Wanted to highlight that we didn't highlight.
No, not at all. But actually, I love this conversation. I'm very happy to come back and have more talks about archaeology, anything about UAPs, UFOs. I'm big into that too. That's my second addiction after archaeology. But they kind of go hand in hand, I believe, with consciousness and everything that we're going through. I think there's no denying we're going to see something unfold very fast, really quick. I think by the end of this year. I think something very, very...
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
Best advice you've ever been given that you can leave the listeners with?
To just be kind to your mind. That's it. Be kind to your mind. I say it to everybody because we're our own worst critics. Treat yourself like the person you're in love with. Person that just makes your heart skip a beat, that you get those good butterflies to be around, that makes you feel special, makes you feel loved and safe. That's it. That's the key. I mean it. You know it's true, people. This is it. This is you. Nobody's coming to rescue you except you. You are your knight in shining armor. And I know what I want, and I can't expect anybody to give me what I want. I don't. I know what I want, and I give love. I love hard, and I don't expect anything back. I really don't.
Amazing. This has been super fun. We're so grateful.
Had the best time.
Yeah. So we'll cut it right there. But yeah.
Oh, wait.
You want to do one more thing?
Okay. I know that you. Can you let people know where they can find you? You mentioned that you're on LinkedIn. But
yes.
Make sure we acknowledge your socials. Where they can find you.
So I'm super active on LinkedIn, Melodie Wolter, MELODIE WOLTER. Then I'm also, you can please link with my pages, the Art Collection Inc., that is a fine art business. North Beach Fine Art and Charity, that is a venture with my beautiful friend, Brooke Trace. She's an artist and she is a Harley and a 68 Mustang badass artist and friend, and so we're doing a venture together to get back to artists, live events and music. And then we have Live Louder with my buddy Scott Jones. Every Saturday we stream live at 10 a.m. It's him and I and typically another famous person or local legend or an unsung hero.
10 a.m. Eastern?
10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Facebook Live, and YouTube, and now LinkedIn. And then on my channel, Melodies Network, I have Melodies Mindcast. And now I started a new playlist that's a live, it's like a live podcast where I'm manifesting in live time. So I am driving to my appointments. I am driving down to look at the lease space that somebody donated my girlfriend for her gallery closing. They bought her building last month, told her she had 30 days to get out. They 10x'd her lease. She'd been there for almost 15 years. A local legend on the beach. And they closed her gallery. She's like, where am I going to move? $10,000 a month. I mean, it was just paying $1,000. It was $10,000 a month. An angel She has tons of them. Gifted her a beautiful office space off of Marina Mile, which is state of the art, on the water, down here in Fort Lauderdale, near where all those yachts are, my friend. Gifted her like 4 office spaces. So I'm driving down there last Saturday after my podcast, and I'm driving up 595, and I'm just showing people, hey, I'm going to look at the space, going to see my friend. We're going to set up shop there. We're reviving my parents' business, the art collection. Right afterwards, I tell her, I'm going to go get something to eat at Rendezvous across the street. I go in there. This is really cool. Sit down. I'm waiting for her to come with her artist friends. They were going to close up the office. I'm sitting at the bar, and I'm just facing forward. This guy comes in, sits down, just regular, average dude, young, cute little teddy bear guy. And I just started talking to him, and I said, I've never been here. My friends come here. My parents have been here. I love this place. I love the vibe. What's good? He goes, well, everything's good. And I said, are you sure about that? You just probably say that because you come here a lot. He goes, no, I own the place. And I said, oh, really? I go, I love this place. It's got a great vibe. He goes, well, it's being demolished next month. Long story short, my girlfriends get in. He says, yeah, we're going to make this a multi center for the arts, restaurant. Do you happen to know anybody that's in the business that could help us with staging art or has art? Yeah. So he sat next to me, and now we're going to be decorating his whole place, and we're going to do an event there. We're going to make it we're going to bring in all these artists. We're going to have them meet the artists. You can actually meet the artist, and we're going to have live music. We're going to have Polynesian dancers. This is what she does to begin with, and this is what I used to do in my pre-life, when I was in my family's business. So now we get to do it together, and I'm so excited because I love the in-person events. They're fun, and you get to meet the coolest people. Artists are fun, man. They are and they're all different mediums out there. So yeah, manifestation in real time. So that's what, going back to my podcast, I said, now I do these mindset activations. Now I'm showing people in real time, as I'm going to these places, as I'm celebrating my wins, I'm putting it out there. I go live or I record it and then I post it right away, because I want to see, I don't want people to think oh, I need to hire Melodie to be my coach and to show me. No, I'm showing people I'm physically doing the work. I have to get in my car. I gotta physically make myself aware and present and open to opportunities and to meeting people. And don't judge the person next to you that looked like he just rolled off of a fishing pier, which he did. He was the owner. He owns this place is worth millions of dollars. And this project he's doing is a 10 million deal. So, and we're going to be helping him launch the whole thing with art and events. So I'm excited. It just keeps rolling, and I'm just going to keep promoting and recording documenting everything in real time. So we can show them, Joe and Christina, we can show people that your energy is what is really going to create the better life experiences.
Amazing. This has been absolutely incredible. And if anyone listening wants to work with Melodie, shoot her a connection on LinkedIn or send her an email. Yeah, thank you so much. We've had an absolute blast. It's been super fun getting to know you. And
it was a pleasure meeting you both. Pleasure. I had a great day. It was a pleasure meeting both of you, and I can't wait until we talk again, and hopefully we get to meet each other in person and maybe go on tour and just check out some of the great pyramids together. Let's keep putting the energy out there, okay?
Bobby, we're talking to you.
Robert Edward Grant, we're putting it out there. I love you.
Thank you, Melodie.
All right, take care, friends.
that was really good. You're awesome, by the way.
You're so good.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. It was such a pleasure. I love it. I get so much energy from the two of you, and it's just such a pleasure to know the both of you. I think that you guys are going to just really skyrocket if you keep this up. I love the name of your podcast, by the way. It's awesome.
Thank you.
I don't know who.
So what,
It's one of my favorite words.
Alchemy?
Why?
So what we'll do too is this. So we hand this off to. This will come out in 2 weeks.
No, we'll send you the date. I gotta double check.
Yeah.
Too.
But essentially, we'll send you like a little media kit thing where it's like we're gonna make one cut that's like with the camera switching. There'll be a version that's just you on camera, so that you can take that and do any sort of edits you want. And then as the weeks go on, there'll be like
Okay. And for people that are watching my live right now, we're wrapping things up. And Barry, you asked me a question. What is the name of my book, ma'am? So the name of my book is 311, The Universal Soul Reset. And I only have the first chapter in audio because the book is being written by many thought leaders and friends and healers and people in this world. So the book is going to be rolling out by 2026. All right, my friends. So I forgot to mention that I'm getting ready to publish a book. So I just announced it on live. I'm still on live, but yeah, it's 311, The Universal Soul Reset. It's all about 311, the pandemic, and how my dark time turned to light. And then I have a few of my friends and some thought leaders, a scientist, a doctor, writing their 311 moment. Did they have, did they do well in their work-life balance? Did they start a new business? Did their relationships improve? Did they go south like mine? I had the dark. Some people had great, impact and had positive impact as a result of being in, at home. So, but I didn't. Pardon me? Hopefully by the end of this year, that's my goal. That's on my project.
Do that. Why don't you come back for that and talk specifically about
Sure. And if you ever want to get together, Christina, and just you and me, we can just talk just archaeology and sacred stuff. I love talking about all that stuff. Reiki, you name it, all of it.
I love it.
All right, my friends, I got to run. It was such a great day. Keep up the good work.
Great day to have
Thanks,
a great
Melodie.
day.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. All right. Hey, Barry, are you still there? Anybody else still on here? I was just wrapping up my podcast and not my podcast, but my friend's podcast, Modern Alchemy. And so the book of my name, what was the name of your book? Yeah, it is 311, The Universal Soul Reset. And so the audio is there if you're still listening and watching. So, all right, my friends, I got to run. And I hope Violet, James, Erica, who else? Barry. I hope everybody here has a beautiful day, and please connect with me on LinkedIn and subscribe to my channel. That would make me so happy. And just have a beautiful day and take care of yourself. Be kind to your mind.